Bali minimum wage increases for 2024, and Bali Airport improves immigration services. Let's hope so. Stay tuned for details. Welcome to the latest news from Bali and Indonesia. This is November 29th, almost December 2023. I almost said 2024, and my name is Bruce. Selamat siang. What is the weather like? Wow, we got rain last night, some good rain, and the temperature has dropped below 32 for the first time in a long time here in Kampung Bugis. And today it is 30.1 degrees Celsius. Last night it down to 28. Boy, that felt good. Humidity, 74%. Looks like it's going to rain again today. And wind speed, 8.4 kilometers per hour. So is the rainy season really here in Singaraja? Let's hope so. And let's get right into the main story. Bali minimum wage in 2024 increases by 3.68%. There's going to be two segments to this, so stay tuned for that. The state news agency Antara reports that the Bali provincial government has set the base minimum wage, monthly minimum wage, at 2,816,672 rupiah, an increase of 100,000 over the current monthly minimum wage of 2,713,672 rupiah. The head of Manpower and Natural Energy, ESDM, Department for Bali, Ida Bagus Setiawan, said the new minimum wage level is based on calculations and formulations outlined in new regulations. PP number 51, Town 2023. Slow today. We're in a joint agreement, he said, on establishing the new provincial minimum wage. And that is called the UMP, the new provincial minimum wage. And we have reported our conclusions to the governor, he said. The governor, in turn, has proclaimed the new UMR in a decree on UMP in 2024. You got to keep this up. The new minimum wage for Bali represents an increase of 3.68% over the UMP in 2023. The gubernatorial decree stipulates that effective the 1st of January, all companies operating in Bali must implement the new minimum wage. In calculating the new minimum wage scale, the provincial government has contemplated economic growth, rates of inflation, and the UMP of 2023. The latest increase is more modest than in last year when the UMP hiked by 7.81%. So, not good news for workers. So this is the provincial minimum wage. Now, each regency here in Bali has its own minimum wage, separate, well, sometimes separate from the overall minimum wage, and we're going to get into that right now. Focused economic activities in South Bali said to be the cause of low UMK in 5 districts. So the provincial minimum wage is UMP, and as I said a minute ago, it's around 2.8 million. The Bali Manpower Service has determined the district minimum wage, which is UMK. So what about the UMK? Well, in Badung, it's 3,318,628. In Denpasar, 3,096,823. In Gianyar, 2,928,712. And in Tabanan, 2,913,946. Meanwhile, 5 other districts whose UMK value is lower than the UMP is Karangasem, Karangasem, Bangli, Klungkung, Buleleng, and Jembrana. And so their minimum wage will be set at the UMP level, 2,813,672. So we've got 5 districts or 5 regencies that have a lower wage than minimum wage than others. Why is that? Because right off bat you could say, well, doesn't seem very fair. Well, the government said their hope is that by setting a minimum wage, productivity is also maintained, which is very important so that the wheels of the economy continue to run. Continued, this year there are 5 regencies whose UMK is below. In fact, last year there was only one, Bangli, which means it was stretched out because of the pandemic, and now it has started to regenerate. But even distribution of economic activity is still concentrated in the south, such as in Badung, Denpasar, in those areas around there, where most of the tourists are. The head of Bali Manpower and Energy and Mineral Resources said, "This is a challenge to us." Pak Setiawan said that in the future, the districts can increase their economic growth within the existing potential. The aim is to prevent people from piling up to come to work at activity centers in southern Bali. So they want to spread the economic development out around the island, as I've talked about many times. And of course, that is one of the reasons that's often given for the mythical North Bali Airport, is to bring more tourists up here, more development. Whereas down in the south, you've already got that. And if you watch any of the videos of people walking around, the monkeys, Bobo, you'll see, wow, everything is being built there. Things are a little slower here. And for those of us that live here, well, a lot of us like that. I guess if you're in the tourism business up here, you'd like to see more tourists. I kind of like the slower pace myself. Pak Setiawan said that the low UMK figure should not be blamed on the government. All parties have to see what opportunities are available and investment, and so work on that so that everything is evenly distributed. Additionally, Pak Setiawan said that regarding supervision of companies regarding the implementation of the UMK, it's very important because the regulatory policy has been determined and its implementation is in accordance with what's jointly been determined. And so this is one of the reasons why people here and all my children are working down south, because the wages are higher and there's more work. So Pak Setiawan said, don't compare districts because they have different needs. For example, cost of living is higher down in Denpasar than it is up in Singaraja. You can tell that if you look at the cost of housing. So those are the wages. So you might consider that next time you're having your avocado toast in your favorite cafe down in Canggu. If anybody lives in Canggu actually watches this channel, I doubt it, because the average age is over 60 that watches it. And so I think most of you folks that watch this channel are probably not down in Canggu eating avocado toast. Maybe you're eating avocado toast in Sanur, more of an older people's place. Okay, let's get into the second lead story about what's happening at immigration at Ngurah because of the scandal a few weeks ago. After extortion on the immigration fast-track service, the immigration at Ngurah strictly uses airport passes. So this is one of the problems, apparently. So there are the alleged irregularities in the special lane service I talked about with the last video, 2 videos ago, at the airport with the Special Class 1 Immigration Office, and things have started to improve already, they said. There are 5 steps that are being taken at Ngurah Airport with immigration to make things more transparent. First, the installation of 30 auto gate units in the international arrival area. Installation work began in October last month and is supposed to be operational by the end of December. In addition, there'll be 50 auto gate units in 2024. 30 additional ones will be in the arrival area. 20 will be installed in the departure area. Apart from that, we are enforcing the implementation of Article 22, Paragraph 4, Law 6/2011 concerning immigration, namely that airport operators can issue entry tickets to enter the immigration area after after getting approval from the head of immigration office. So this is for workers to come into the immigration area. This is what I'm taking from reading this article. So that just not anybody can wander into the immigration area. So this is to keep better control, better supervision of immigration officers. Currently, there are 8,114 annual passes, 768 monthly passes, 95 weekly passes that can be used to enter the immigration area. But their issuances has not received approval from the head of the immigration office. So he said, we are doing this to ensure that immigration area is sterile from unauthorized parties to anticipate possible irregularities. And the final step is activating a special door for airport pass users so that they can be electronically checked and see that what they are doing is in accordance with their intended purpose. Paksahendra concluded saying, "Of course, we ask for prayer, support, and cooperation from all parties so that we can continue to make efforts to improve the Ngurah Special Class 1 Immigration Office in providing the best service for the community." So, you're going to have these auto gates, which should make things easier, hopefully, make things quicker, more efficient, and they're going to start controlling who's coming in and out of the immigration area to keep track of what's going on. Is this going to work? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. And on to some tourism news. And the economy, renovation of Benoa Harbor boosts Bali's economy. BUMN Minister Eric Thohir assesses that the renovation of Benoa Harbor in Denpasar for cruise ship needs will boost the economy in Bali because it encourages quality tourism, there's that word, quality tourism, while absorbing the workforce. He said his ministry, through Polindo, is building public transportation facilities, especially world-class ports. He said this facility can increase the number of tourists and open up employment opportunities for the Balinese people. While visiting the Eastern Pier, Benoa Harbor, the Minister of State-Owned Enterprises assessed that there's been many changes after renovation, namely that jumbo cruise ships can now dock. Previously, these large cruise ships carrying thousands of foreign tourists had to dock in the middle of Benoa waters. Then a number of tourists would come to mainland on little shuttles from the big ship. This, of course, slowed down the process of transferring people and may have discouraged some people from even getting off the ship. But with these new facilities, now people will be able to get directly off the ship. Additionally, the previous pier was attached to the container terminal, so tourists who boarded the small boats coming from the big ship, when they arrived at the pier, they often passed container trucks and disrupted the traffic of the newly arrived tourists, right? So they were inconvenienced. Who wants to get off a ship in the middle of a bunch of containers moving around? Currently, the pier has been extended to 500 meters from its previous length of 350 meters. So now it can accommodate 2 large cruise ships at once. And this is part of the construction of the Bali Marina Tourism Center, or Bali Marine and Tourism Hub project. Not only cruise ships can dock here now, but also tourist boats, yachts, can dock in the marina area, which is integrated with the cruise ship port. In addition to that, 51% of the area is provided with green space, therefore adding to the attractiveness of the environment. And Polindo is also targeting the completion of a special route for passengers disembarking and boarding the cruise ships. And what is that? That's a permanent gangway, which is expected to be finished sometime next year. The 46-meter-long gangway facility is around now, but it is temporary, and so a permanent one will be finished next year. The total cost of all this project is 1.2 trillion rupiah, not cheap. Based on data from Polindo, during January to December 2023, there are around 50 foreign cruise ship operators registered to stop in Bali with an average ship length of 250 meters. The realization is that right now, up to November, there have been 37 cruise ships docking at Benoa, and that's estimated to carry more than 30,000 passengers. During the period last year, January to December, there were 14 ships actually docked, carrying 7,000 passengers. So, wow, a big increase this year. And some more tourism news. Up here in Buleleng, there are still a shortage of certified tourist guides. Oh no. Tour guides in Buleleng are currently being pursued to improve their qualifications and professionalism. You may appreciate that if you're using a guide. Of the hundreds of tour guides spread across 86 tourist attractions, also known as DTW in the news, in Buleleng, the number who have been certified is still very minimal. The tour guide certification process has been promoted by the Bali Tourism Department since 2017, but there's only 146 people that are actually certified. as tour guides. The head of Buleleng Tourism Service, Pak Dodi, talked about many times when I'm talking about tourism up here, said that the task of tourism development is not only in preparing the tourist attractions and completing the supporting facilities and infrastructure, it also has to be balanced with the preparation of human resources to get people who are qualified in their field. Pak Dodi said, yes, I know there's not that many tour guides that have their competency certificates, but we're working on it, and we haven't got them because we don't have the budget. We have a limited budget, and so we can't train more guides to get their certification. He said every year on the average, we do 20 to 25 tour guides taking part in this certification process. The 146 certified tour guides include nature guides, cultural tour guides, diving guides, just general all-around guides. And the training program is a routine agenda, part of a routine agenda for the Buleleng Tourism Department in order to improve human resources here and to make the tourist experience better for people that actually come all the way up here. In the past 6 years, there have been 376 people that have gone through this process, but not all of them got certified. Pak Dodi said the certificate is very important. Apart from showing the professionalism of a tour guide's work, it can also increase the confidence of tourists who come to visit. Pak Dodi said that the plan for tour guide certification is now going to be in collaboration with the actual tourism places. Half of the cost will be borne by them and half will be done by the government. And so if you're up here and you've taken a certified tour guide, let me know. But the government up here is working on improving the tourism experience for people that venture all the way up to Buleleng and get away from the madness in the south. And more on tourism up here in Buleleng. The restaurant owned by the chair of PHRI, the Tourism Association up here in Buleleng, caught fire and burned. The restaurant is located at Penambangan Beach in Pamaron, and it caught fire on Monday at 3 o'clock in the morning. The cause of the fire is not yet known. Losses are estimated to be about 200 million rupiah. The head of public relations for Buleleng Police said that the fire at the Rangan Sunset Restaurant started in the kitchen and warehouse building. When the fire started, the restaurant was closed. The first people to know were employees of the restaurant. Maybe they were sleeping there, I don't know. They're there at 3 o'clock in the morning. A witness told the restaurant owner that the kitchen had caught fire. Not long after, personnel from the Buleleng Regency Fire Department arrived at the scene. Officers took action by deploying 4 firefighting units. Unfortunately, the fire had already spread and greatly destroyed the building and its contents. The fire was brought under control after about an hour by 4 a.m. The fire destroyed the warehouse building and the restaurant kitchen, covering an area of around 8 by 8 square meters, as well as catering equipment in the form of a refrigerator, freezer, restaurant cutlery, and a Suzuki carryall. Singaraja police have closed down the place and put their little banners, their little tape thing up, and they are investigating the fire to find out why it happened. And so if you like that restaurant, if you're up here, if you're a regular up here, or if you visit up here, it's a nice little restaurant down there at the beach, and Penambangan Beach is a very popular place for locals and tourists as well, but really, really popular with locals, and I was down there last week. And here is something extremely important, not often talked about, but if you've been around for a long time, you know that this is a problem, and it's a problem that is not discussed because of its nature. Elements of Balinese society campaign to prevent sexual violence. Sexual violence against women and children is still an iceberg phenomenon. A number of elements of Balinese society, ranging from academics, bureaucrats, police, NGOs, and students, have taken action together with a campaign to prevent sexual violence. And this was done in Denpasar the other day. The action is in response to cases of violence against women which tend to increase every year. Sexual violence can happen anywhere, she said. It could be in the family environment, it could be in the educational environment, it could be in a public area. Not many victims report these cases to law enforcement. Therefore, sexual violence against women and children is still what they called an iceberg phenomenon. Not seen, we only get the tip of the iceberg, right? She said there may be fear about if I report it to the police, what's going to happen, especially if the perpetrator is from the family. Maybe there's fear, maybe there's shame. She said victims need to know that the police are available and will help women and children who are victims of sexual violence. According to Nilu Gede-Yastini, she said, on the island of the gods, 377 cases of violence against children were recorded in 2022. 120 of those, sexual violence. And she said this happens mostly within the family. It's painful because the perpetrators are the people closest to us. According to another participant in this forum, Wayan Astawa, he said he's considering Law 12, 2022, concerning criminal acts of sexual violence, and that this can be a strong instrument in protecting women and children. As representative of educational institutions, he's ready to help spread positive news about this problem in order to alleviate it. He said, this law is extraordinary. If we look around other laws, they don't provide any protection for victims. He said there's many residents who don't know about this law of 2022 about crimes of sexual violence. And he said, automatically when they're victims of sexual violence, not many people know that the state is here to help the victims. He emphasized that cases of sexual violence in Indonesia have been categorized as an emergency. Through the sexual violence crime law, the government protects victims by providing assistance to the victims and restitution compensation from the perpetrators. He also encouraged victims of sexual violence to dare to speak out, particularly if the perpetrator is a family member or in an educational institution, a teacher, a professor. And those cases pop up in the news all too frequently. And so, some good news here, people working to deal with the problem of sexual violence in Bali. And that is it for today. I hope you're having a great time, and if the weather is getting cooler wherever you are on the island, if you are on the island, I hope you're enjoying it. There is a little breeze coming in now, but I still got the fan on because it is a little sticky. Okay, thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today, stay safe, and I will see you next time.